So it's funny, right? A lot of people, before we get started, a lot of people are starting to tune into college football, right? And it's very interesting. And I think because of Deion Sanders is a familiar name, and you heard the impact that he had at Jackson State, so you're getting a lot of the HBCU guys, and you're also getting a lot of the NFL guys that are starting to tune in now, which is great for the sport. But on the other side of that, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of annoying because now everybody's favorite team is Colorado because of what they have. You guys didn't know that Travis Hunter was going to come to Florida State before he flipped his commitment to Deion Sanders. Why wouldn't you want to play for Deion Sanders, right? Cornerback in high school, played both ways, did the same thing at Jackson State, and pretty much a father figure to Travis Hunter, and he performed well. Sheduer Sanders came. Shiloh played there. And shout out to Shiloh for being all over the field yesterday. I went back and watched a lot of the things I missed this morning before I actually came on this live to make sure that I had my brain ready to talk towards most of these games. But Travis Hunter played absolutely incredible. Could have had a touchdown on top of having an interception, almost two interceptions in that game. But I want to shout out Shiloh because I don't think he gets enough love. I know we're all talking about Travis Hunter in the two-way, and honestly, I think that that's going to get Colorado in trouble if he and Deion Sanders in trouble if he actually gets hurt. I was one of the only ones to pick Colorado. I actually flipped probably in like the last 2 weeks as we talked about it. I know before we kind of did a group prediction and we had them losing to TCU realistically. Just what Sonny Dykes had did last year. A lot of the people that they lost, Max Duggan, Quentin Johnston, Kedra Miller, all those guys are left. They had a couple pieces. Tomlinson Hodges, was actually the Thorpe Award winner, actually left for the NFL as well. So you can tell I would have liked to see that Tomlinson matchup against Travis Hunter, but fortunately he came out, declared for the NFL, and got drafted. Now, with all that being said, I get that there's a lot of hype, but I think what people weren't realizing, some people had said that they thought TCU was going to come in and just dog walk Colorado. I mean, 68 scholarship players coming from other schools. I think there was only like a handful of those players that originally were in that room when he told them, I'm bringing my baggage and most of y'all ain't going to be here. And that happened. I think it was over 80 transfers that came. And a lot of these kids just wanted a chance. A lot of these kids were talented. And when you have somebody like Deion Sanders, it brings the best out of you. When he brings other people that have had success somewhere else, they have already set the standard of what Deion expects. I'm not saying that Deion's probably going to be one of the most elite coaches, but right now there's a lot of hype. And I think all of us can realize that there is hype. There are new people watching college football now, which I think if you're talking NFL anyways, you should be watching college football, especially when it comes to the draft, because you're giving an uninformed opinion on what somebody like me has seen all year, but I digress. Um, Colorado is going to be a pretty good team. And I still think that they're going to be around 3, 4, 5 wins, something around there, just barely missing the bowl game, just because I don't think they have I don't want to say they don't have it, but I think they're going to run against a couple teams that just know how to win down the stretch, that are not going to make the same mistakes like they did on special teams, like the overthrow that Shedeur Sanders had early in the game to Travis Hunter. I think those things they need to tighten up, and if they don't tighten those things up, which Deion Sanders already came out and said that he totally thinks that they're going to tighten those things up, and I think that they will, but I think just better teams on their schedule are what's going to get them in trouble. There's going to be a lot of good defenses that they're going to go against in the Pac-12, and I don't think, I don't think those teams are going to be the laughing stock, maybe like they were before, right? So Ron says, I'm glad he went to Dion and not FSU. He would have been a handful to deal with at FSU. Yeah, and I think with his rawness, probably a place going like Jackson State was good for him. It's just different when you get to the FBS. I'm giving him 6 or 7. Yeah, that's a possibility. That's a possibility. What's up, Key? They gonna fix a lot? I mean, who knows? TCU got gutted. I don't think people realize that they got gutted. Hey, normal guy. Uh, Only good defense is Utah? No. Oregon State's defense was top 25 last year, and they lost absolutely nobody. Oregon is going to be a better defense this year. Like I said, Dan Lannon is their coach. He came from Georgia. If y'all think that Oregon's defense is not going to be better this year, you're kidding yourself. Arizona's defense is going to be better this year, too. So you have three really good defenses, and Washington State is nobody to play around with. They're such a wild card. Colorado needs work? Absolutely. It'd be cool with the Vikings drafting Sanders. Y'all got to pipe down. Pipe down. Come back to reality. Come back to reality. I know people. Let's just before we even get into the Florida game, let's just go ahead and dive into the Colorado game. Pat McAfee was on the Colorado train pretty early. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of us were, but the way that Deion Sanders was talking, he just makes you believe what's going to happen. What do you think about Drew Aller's performance? We'll get into that. So let's run through these games, right? First one up was getting to Colorado's game against TCU. Now, the question marks were if you guys didn't remember, Chandler Morris last year actually played the first game of the season against Colorado. Max Duggan was not named to start. It was him, and he got hurt. Max Duggan came in and pretty much took that team to the promised land. I'm a big fan of Max Duggan. I'm so sad that he actually got cut from Colorado or cut from the Chargers, but it is what it is. Bailey from TCU, 14 carries, 164 yards. He was an absolute demon. Their Russian defense needs some work with Colorado. And if you think that they're not going to run the ball well in the Pac-12 against people, you know, like Bucky Irving from Oregon, they have to play Bucky Irving that had 4 carries for 119 yards, I believe, and 2 touchdowns. I know they played Portland State, but I've been telling y'all for weeks now that Bucky Irving is going to be a great running back this year. And if they play like they did against TCU, they're going to get routed. They're going to get routed. I'm telling you right now. We got to stop the hype on Colorado, man. Dylan Edwards, I remember watching him in high school. 135 yards and 3 touchdowns. The kid is going to be incredible. He had a couple rushes too in the game. Sheduer Sanders is still needs some work to be done. 38 for 47, 510 yards and 4 touchdowns. Everybody is speaking like this guy is going to be the next best thing. Let him play an actual good defense and an actual good team. This TCU's second year under Sonny Dykes. Gary Patterson had that team ready to go before he got, which I think was the most disrespectful thing that TCU could have done. Gary Patterson made TCU relevant in the Pac-12 or in the Big 12. That team was gutted from inside out. This is not the same team, and we saw it yesterday. Chandler Morris kind of looked lost out there. What are we talking about? Colorado had a really good win and against a really good team, and I'm totally sold that they're going to be better than what people expect them to be. But what we have to stop doing is when we see stats like this, and that's all we see, right? For people that just watch the NFL, for people that don't watch college football all the time, for people that don't understand the ins and outs of how this works in college football and the coaching staff and TCU not having Garrett Riley, who has had amazing quarterbacks throughout his stint and constantly puts people in the Heisman conversation. The Kyler Murrays and the Max Duggan, these guys were Heisman candidates. And now Garrett Riley is going off to Clemson to work with Cade Klubnik. And I'm saying, from what I see with Cade Klubnik last year, the dude's going to be absolutely better than he was under Garrett Riley. Let's stop kidding ourselves. But when you don't understand the fabrics of this in college football and how it works, you have people that have overreactions, like saying that TCU is going to absolutely rout Colorado. And that wasn't absolutely the case. This was not the case whatsoever. They kept it competitive, just like I said on Wednesday, 45-42, barely scraped out. Sheduer Sanders had 510 yards, but putting 42 points up on any defense is horrible. So we got to stop with the overreactions. I'm here to shut that down. It should not happen. Almost 100-point game. It happens all the time in college, but they shouldn't. Realistically, good teams don't get scored on like this. TCU is a subpar team this year. I'm sorry to say. Unless things change, they're going to be on the back of Bailey all this year. They don't have Garrett Riley. Sonny Dykes is in his second year. I understand what he's done before he got here, and I understand what they did last year, but this is not the same team. So hold your overreactions for Colorado with a grain of salt. Now let's get over to Travis Hunter. Think he played 100 plus snaps yesterday? They got to minimize that. Minimize it as much as possible. Maybe have him play on and off series or something. Because if he gets hurt, that's going to be the biggest knock on the coaching staff and Deion Sanders. So Colorado walks off this game 1-0, TCU 0-1. Just like I called it. Now, let's get over to what happened on whatchamacallit on Thursday. I think he played 129 steps. That's wild to think about. You don't do that stuff unless you play in high school. I get it in the high school level, but Jesus.